Hi, my name is Kimberly and welcome to my channel, Kim After 50, where I talk all about my brand new life. I just got divorced in November, turned 50 in December, and for the last 5 months I have been living part-time on cruise ships. And one of the questions that I get most often is, why did I decide to live on cruise ships part-time? The other question I get is, how do you live on cruise ships part-time? So I want to answer the first question today and encourage you to subscribe to the channel because I do have lots of cruising content on the channel. I'll also be losing 100 pounds in 2025, and I talk about that a little bit on the channel. So I do want to go ahead and invite you to subscribe to the channel before I get started. And of course, leave me a comment and let me know what you think about living on cruise ships part-time. First of all, I want to say this is very hard for me to talk about because I have not really talked about it much. We were together for over 2 decades. We have 4 beautiful daughters. They are all young adults. And we got divorced in November, like I said earlier. But we had been separated for a couple years. And when we first separated, the intent was to repair the marriage. At least that's what he was saying. That's what I was doing. And so that was the intent. And I did not talk to anybody about it at all because I felt that God was telling me to kind of keep this between me and him and to let him be my confidant through this journey. And so I didn't talk to anybody at all. So what that meant was my marriage, the ending of my marriage was devastating. And it meant that I journeyed through that over 2 years of being separated with no support. None of my friends knew, none of my family knew. So I had zero support. And it was a very hard journey. I'm talking tears, I'm talking prayers, fasting, begging God to save my marriage, isolation, because that's what I do when I'm going through hard times, is I isolate. It was a really rough road. And now I can tell you that without question, I know that God carried me through it. I know that he carried me just so gently and tenderly, and he just kept my heart in his hands. And the relationship that I have with him grew in ways I couldn't even imagine. My dependency on him grew, and my faith grew. But by the time we actually got the divorce in November, I was kind of wiped out. And I really wasn't sure what I was going to do. And I had lots of fears for the future because I didn't know what my future would look like being alone. I didn't know if I would be lonely. In fact, I thought I would be lonely. And I just had so many don't knows. And the real hard part about that is I also wasn't trusting myself to make good decisions, and I wasn't trusting myself to be able to discern good people. I always thought that I had a really good sense of discernment, and I could tell whether people were being honest with me and whether people were had good intentions towards me, and all of that. I just really started doubting myself, and just was not in a good place. And so I decided that rather than trying to take all these scraps of a life, because you have lots of scraps when you blow up a marriage that's over 2 decades. I decided instead of taking all of these scraps and trying to repair them and trying to put them back together and continue my life, I decided to completely pivot and create a whole new life. I didn't want to focus on repairing the old. For me, I felt like I needed to put all of my energy on creating the new. So I love cruising, and it's often been my dream to spend a year on cruise ships. I am not able to spend a year on cruise ships full time right now because I do have a business that requires that I'm home at least part-time. At least some of the month, I need to be home. At least 10 to 15 days out of the month, I need to be home. So I decided to, although living full-time on cruise ships was my dream, I decided to get as much of my dream, capture as much of my dream as I possibly could. I live in Florida, so I'm near 5 or 6 different cruise ports. And so I decided to start living on cruise ships part-time. And my original plan was to cruise one week, be home the next week, cruise one week, be home the next week, rinse, lather, repeat. It hasn't quite worked out that way. It's not always that neat, but I've been living for about half of every month on cruise ships for the past 5 months, and I completely love it. I can't explain to you how much I love it. It honestly, I feel like is one of the best decisions I could ever make. It wasn't an easy decision to make, but one of the things that really freed me was my youngest daughter telling me, "Mommy, we're all grown." She said, "Mommy, you poured your life into us and we're grown. Take care of you. We're going to be okay." And I had to trust that I had raised them right and that they would be okay. And again, I didn't move to Siberia. I'm just on cruise ships part-time. So I still see them all the time, but it just, I'm kind of a helicopter mom. So it really was hard until my baby was like, "Mom, we're grown. Take care of you." So that's why I'm living on cruise ships part-time. I love it because I did not have to make any decisions. Like, I didn't have to really plan out a whole bunch of stuff. I didn't have to plan, you know, my day-to-day, how to get, I walk on the cruise ship and then I do whatever I want to do and I don't do whatever I don't want to do. And I have days where I lay in the bed most of the day, and I have days where I'm doing activities back to back. Most days are somewhere in between. I'm a real relaxed, real chill cruiser. So most days are going to be somewhere in between. But I love that I'm so taken care of at a time in my life where I needed to be taken care of, because I really felt like I was in tatters, like I was in shambles after the divorce. And I am just, day by day, I am just being healed. And I absolutely love it. I spend half of my life being taken care of. Someone else is cooking my meals. They are serving me my meal. Someone else is cleaning my room. Someone is washing my clothes and folding them and laying them neatly on my bed. It just feels so good. I'm spending time around new people and having great conversations with people from all over, and laying out on the Lido deck and reading my book or listening to my audiobook. And I'm watching the world go by, you know, just sitting there looking out over the water. I feel like I'm living my dream life. I feel like I am living my dream life. And coming from the past couple years of some days were just existing, and I felt like I was running on E. I felt, oh my gosh, I don't know how deep to go into this. As a baby, I was abandoned by my biological mother, and then years later, I felt abandoned by my father. And to be honest, in this divorce, the separation, I felt abandoned by my ex-husband. And I have struggled with that. Nobody chooses Kim. And I chose Kim in the biggest way. And I just love where I am right now. I love my life right now. I'm starting to ramble, and I don't want to do that in this video. I really wanted to answer the question that I get so often of why I am living part-time on cruise ships. And that is the answer. It's because my life got blown up. I saw somebody in a divorce group call it a life quake. When something happens in your life like this, like an earthquake, but a life quake. I feel like my whole life got blown up. And I just did not want to, piece by piece, scrap by scrap, put that life back together. I wanted to let that life go. It was what it was. It did what it did. Let it go. And I wanted to recreate a life that I would love. And I did that. And I'm so happy I did that. And so I don't want to make this too long. So I will do another video about how I live part-time on cruise ships because I'm not rich. Your girl is not rich. And I am a budget cruiser. But I am able to do it partly because I don't have airplane flight expenses. I live in Florida. But I am able to do it. I absolutely love doing it. And I think most times my per day cost of living when I'm at sea is less than my per day cost of living when I'm at home. So we'll do another video explaining how I'm able to do it. But that's the answer to why I do it. It was time to pick a new life for me. And this is the life I chose. And it's the life I needed. And I absolutely love it. So I will see you all on the next video. If you have any questions about this video or about this new life, this wonderful new life that I'm living, comment them below and I'll try to answer them. And I'll see you all on the next video and hopefully one day at sea. Bye-bye.